Introduction to Microsoft Windows. In this video, we are going to see about the introduction to Microsoft Windows. Windows is developed by Microsoft Corporation. Microsoft Windows is a series of graphical interface operating systems. Microsoft Windows provides the environment necessary to start up and to operate a personal computer. It controls the overall activity of the computer. More than 90% of all the personal computers were dominated by Windows operating system. Different versions of Windows. Windows 1.0 to 2.0, Windows 3.0 to 3.1, Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows 2000, Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8. Windows 1.0 to 2.0. The first version of Microsoft Windows, that is Microsoft Windows 1.0, came out in November 1985. Rather than typing MS-DOS commands, you just move a mouse to point and user can click in their way through screens in Windows 1.0. On December 9, 1987, Microsoft released Windows 2.0 with desktop icons and expanded memory. Windows 3.0 to 3.1. With improved graphics support, you can now overlap windows, control the screen layout, and use keyboard shortcuts to speed up your work. Microsoft released Windows 3.0 in May 1990, offering better icons, performance, and advanced graphics with 16 colors designed for Intel 386 processors. Windows 95. Windows 95 is updated from 16-bit to 32-bit. Windows 98. Windows 98 included improved hardware and hardware drives, internet connection sharing. Windows 2000. Windows 2000 made everyone's lives easier by increasing the number of plug-and-play devices compatible with the operating system. Windows XP. Windows XP was released in 2001. Windows XP is a new version of Windows. The letter XP stands for Extra Performance. Windows Vista. Windows Vista is released in 2006 with the strongest security system. Windows 7. Windows 7 is released in 2009 to fulfill requirements of Windows Vista. Windows 7 include multi-touch support, Internet Explorer 8, improved performance and startup time, AeroSnap, AeroShake, support for virtual hard disks, a new and improved Windows Media Center, and improved security. Windows 8. Windows 8 has been released in 2012. It functions as both a tablet for entertainment and a full-featured PC for getting things done. Basic Windows elements. Now, let us see the animation of basic Windows elements in this video. Window. A window is simply a rectangular unit that acts independently from other windows. In a graphical user interface, that is GUI, the boundaries of the window can be easily expanded or contracted. Windows comes in two basic types, the application window and the dialog box. Application window. Application windows are the main part of almost all programs. Common elements of application windows include the control menu, menu bar, and border. Dialog box. Dialogs perform a specific task or give details for the application. Most dialog boxes lack several of the control buttons and a border, and will have other buttons inside the window to complete a request such as OK and Cancel. Taskbar. In GUI, the taskbar is a desktop toolbar application that lets the user to locate and perform tasks such as switching between open windows and starting new applications. A bar at the bottom of the desktop is the taskbar, and it was first introduced with Microsoft Windows 95 and found in all the versions of Windows after that. The notification area at the far right of the taskbar includes a clock and a group of icons. When clicked on a window title in the taskbar, that window will become active and show up in front of other windows which are opened already. Icons. An icon is a small graphic representation of a program. Icons allow the user to access the program with ease. Icons are used with Graphical User Interface, that is GUI. Operating systems such as Microsoft Windows and Apple Mac OS to help quickly identify a type of the file or program associated with the icon. Start menu. The Start menu is a feature of the Windows operating system that provides quick access to programs, folders, and system settings. Border. A border is a part that forms the outer edge of something. Title bar. The title bar is located along the top of a window or a dialog box that displays the name of the window or software program being used. Minimize button. By pressing, it will remove the window and replace it with a program icon somewhere on the desktop. Maximize or restore button. By pressing, it will make the window as large as it can possibly go, usually as large as the screen. The button will then change to the restore button, which when pressed, change the window back to its previous size. Close button. Pressing this button is just one way of closing the window. Other ways of closing the window include double-clicking the control menu or clicking on the file menu and then exit if it is an application window, and clicking on the OK button if it is a dialog box. Resize handle. The resize handle is actually an extension to the border found in the lower right corner of the window. It is especially useful when users want to change the size of the window but for some reason the border is too thin. Menu bar. A menu bar is present in every application window directly below the title bar. Each word on the menu bar is a separate menu. If user click on the word, the corresponding menu will appear. File management through Windows. In this animation, we are going to learn about the file management through Windows. File management in Windows can be done through Windows Explorer or My Computer. Using Windows Explorer. Windows Explorer helps in working with files and folders on computer. To open Windows Explorer, Click on Start. Point to All Programs. Point to Accessories and then click on Windows Explorer. The left pane of the Explorer window shows a hierarchical list of files, folders and storage drives, both fixed and removable, on computer. It also lists any network drives that have been mapped to as a drive letters on computer. A drive or folder that contains other folders has an arrow to the left of the icon. Click the arrow to expand it and see the folders inside. Windows Explorer can be used to copy, move, rename, and search for files and folders. Opening drives and folders. There are two basic formats for the interface used to open drives and folders in the computer. The single pane view used for most folders and in computer. Two drives. Nearly all computers have a hard drive, that is drive C. If users have more than one drive, then they are named E drive, F drive, and so on. Opening a drive or folder is easy. Just double-click the icon representing the drive user want to open. Files and folders contained in the drive are now shown in the opened window. Now, for opening a folder, double-click its icon. Copying or moving a file or folder using Document. Click on Start and then click on Documents. Click the file or folder to be copied. More than one file or folder can be copied at a time. To select more than one consecutive files or folders, click the first file or folder, press and hold down Shift key and then click the last files or folders. Right-click on the selected files or folders, then click Copy to copy the selected files and folders. Choose the desired location to paste the files or folders. Then, clicking the right mouse button, select Paste to paste the files or folders to the target drive. View file details. Click on Start and then click on Documents. Double-click the folder that contains the files to be viewed. On the View menu, click Details. It will display all the details about the files such as name, type, size, etc. Copying and moving files using Explorer. Click Start, point to All Programs, then Accessories, and then click Windows Explorer. Make sure the destination for the file or folder user want to move is visible. drag the file or folder from the right pane and drop it on the destination folder in the left pane to move the file or folder there. If user drag an item while pressing the right mouse button, they can move, copy, or create a shortcut to the file in its new location. Dragging a program to a new location creates a shortcut to that program. To move a program, right-click and then drag the program to the new location. Create a new folder. User can create a folder either by using My Computer window or through Windows Explorer. User can create a folder in any existing disk drive or folder or on the Windows desktop. The steps for creating a folder are: click on Start and then click on Documents. Under File menu, click New and select Folder. A new folder is displayed with the default name New Folder. Type a name for the new folder and then press Enter. A new folder can also be created directly on the desktop by right-clicking a blank area on the desktop, pointing to New, and then clicking Folder. Rename a file or folder. The steps for renaming a folder are: click on Start and then click on Documents. Right-click on the file or folder user want to rename. Type the new name and then press Enter key. Delete a file or folder. Steps for delete a folder. Click on Start and then click on Documents. Right-click on the file or folder user wants to delete. Then click on Delete. Deleted files or folders are stored in the recycle bin till they are permanently removed from the recycle bin. To retrieve a deleted file, double-click the recycle bin icon on the desktop, right-click on the file to be retrieved and then click Restore. To permanently delete a file, press and hold down Shift key, then press Delete key. System Tools. In this animation, we are going to learn about System Tools. System Tools allows a user to perform some basic maintenance from time to time to keep operating system run smoothly. But it is impossible to expect the users to run these tools on a periodic basis or make the administrators to run it for user on all the computers. Some of the system tools are as follows: Disk Cleanup, Disk Defragmenter, Disk Cleanup. The disk cleanup tool helps user to free up space on the hard disk by searching the disk for files that user can safely delete. User can choose to delete some or all of the files. Use disk cleanup to perform any of the following tasks to free up space on the hard disk. Remove temporary internet files. Remove downloaded program files, for example, ActiveX controls and Java applets that are downloaded from the internet. Empty the recycle bin. Remove Windows temporary files. Remove optional Windows components that users are not using. Remove installed programs that users no longer use it. User can start a disk cleanup by doing one of the following. Method 1. Click Start. Point to all programs. Point to accessories and then click Run. In the open box, type clean mgr and then click OK. Method 2. Click Start. Point to all programs. Point to accessories. Point to system tools and then click Disk Cleanup. Method 3. Open My Computer. Right-click the disk in which user wants to free up space. Click Properties. Click the General tab and then click Disk Cleanup. Disk Defragmenter. Disk defragmentation is the process of consolidating fragmented data on a volume such as a hard disk or a storage device, so it will work more efficiently. It is a tool that rearranges the data on the volume and reunites the fragmented data so that computer can run more efficiently. To start Disk Defragmenter, use one of the methods. Method 1. Click Start. Click All Programs. Point to Accessories. Select System Tools and then click Disk Defragmenter. Method 2. Open My Computer. Right-click the local disk volume that user want to defragment and then click Properties. On the Tools tab, click Defragment Now and then click Defragment. Entertainment. In this video, let us see the application of entertainment. Entertainment program is an add-on peripheral where user can install entertainment software such as Windows Media Player, Volume Control. Windows Media Player. To open Media Player, click on the Start button. All programs, point to Windows Media Player. User can play audio and video files by using Windows Media Player. User can choose different skins for the player for the available list or download more skins from Microsoft Windows site. Volume control. To open volume control, click on the Start button, point to All Programs, point to Volume Control. Enables to adjust master volume and balance of the audio speakers. User can set different volumes for different file formats such as WAV and MIDI, and also for music played from CD-ROM. By default, an icon of volume control is also placed in System Tray for easy access. Right-click on the icon in notification area opens a full volume control window, and a left click opens a small volume controller from which user can control the master volume of audio speakers. The volume can also be controlled by the software of the sound card installed. Games. Now, let us see the animation of games in this video. Games that come with Windows and any new games user choose to install appear in the Games folder. Windows 7 comes with a variety of games to play. There are board games, card games, multiplayer internet games, and even games for kids. Open the Games folder by clicking the Start button. In the search box, type Games, and then in the list of results, click Games Explorer. If user do not see a particular title, it could be for one of these reasons. It is an older game. New game automatically shows up in the Games folder when user installs them. To add the game manually, see Install a game in the Games folder. Windows games are turned off. By default, the games that come with Windows are turned off in some editions. To turn them back on, click the Start button, click Control Panel, click Programs, and then under Programs and Features, click Turn Windows Features on or off. Select the Games checkbox and then click OK. User will find all games in the Games folder. To start playing, just open the folder and double-click a game icon. Internet games such as Internet Backgammon, Internet Checkers, Internet Spades. Board games such as Chess Titans, Minesweeper, Mahjong Titans. Card games such as Free Cell, Hearts, Solitaire, Spider Solitaire. Children's games such as Pebble Plays, Comfy Cake. Calculator. In this animation, we are going to learn about the calculator. Calculator is a software program included in all versions of Windows. Windows provides a simple calculator for doing arithmetic calculations. To open a calculator, click on the Start button, select All Programs, choose Accessories, and then click Calculator. Calculator provides 4 modes of calculation. They are Standard Mode, Scientific Mode, Programmer Mode, Statistics Mode. Standard Mode. By default, Calculator runs in Standard Mode, which resembles a 4-function calculator. Standard Mode features are MC clears number in memory, MR recalls number in memory, MS stores number displayed in memory, M+ adds number displayed to number in memory. Backspace deletes the last digit of the number displayed. CE clears the last number input. C clears the last calculation. Plus or minus changes the sign of the number. Scientific Mode. More advanced functions are available in Scientific Mode. To view the Scientific calculator, select the View menu and click on Scientific. In Scientific Mode, calculator is precise to 32 significant digits and honors operate precedence. It offers functions such as basic to the power of calculations as well as more powerful functions like sine, cosine, and pi functions. User can use them in normal or inverse mode. Programmer Mode. In Programmer Mode, calculator is precise up to 64 bits depending on the word size. The calculator honors operator precedence in Programmer Mode and works in integer-only mode. Decimals are discarded. This mode lets user to work in a variety of basic operations such as binary, octal, hexadecimal, and decimal. It can do calculations from one base to another, such as converting octal to binary. Statistics Mode. The Statistics Mode is not quite as elaborate as the other two, but it's still something the old calculator did not have. User get functions like the sum of numbers and the sum of numbers to a power to make statistical calculations. The C key in Statistics Mode deletes the current value expressed instead of clearing it. The Cat button clears all the values from the data set since statistics are usually built on a large number of figures. Imaging facts. An example process of imaging facts is shown in this video. Windows Fax and Scan can practically turn the computer into a fax machine, a potentially big money and time saver. Before users start faxing, computer needs to be properly equipped. If user planning to send and receive faxes at home, they first need to outfit their PC with a fax modem. A fax modem is a relatively inexpensive piece of add-on hardware that allows a computer to communicate with a fax machine over a standard phone line. The devices are sold at major computer stores and come in two varieties, internal and external. internal fax modems plug directly into the computer motherboard, similar to the way a video or sound card is plugged in. External fax modems are small devices that connect to the serial or USB ports. If user at work, another option is to see if the employer has a fax server, a dedicated computer equipped with multiple fax modems. Setting up Windows to fax. Once user have picked up a fax modem or found a fax server, you will need to do a little setting up. To set up a fax modem, before starting, make sure that fax modem has properly installed and that it is plugged into a standard analog phone line. On the Start button, click All Programs and then click Windows Fax and Scan. At the bottom of the left pane, click Fax and then click New Fax on the toolbar to launch the fax setup wizard. Click Connect to a fax modem and follow the instructions. To set up a fax server, before starting, make sure the computer is connected to the network and users should know the network address of the fax server. For example, / my company fax server. Click the Start button, click All Programs and then click Windows Fax and Scan. To use Fax View, click Fax at the bottom of the left pane. Click the Tools menu and then click Fax Accounts. Click Add. It will navigate to Fax Setup Wizard. In that, click Connect to a fax server on my network and follow the instructions. Notepad. In this video, we are going to see about Notepad. Notepad creates and edits text and performs basic functions of a text editor without much formatting options. The Notepad editor is about as old as Windows itself, yet it still has its uses even today. To open a Notepad, on the Start button, click All Programs, point to Accessories, and then choose Notepad. Once the Notepad is running, user will see its simplistic menu appear at the top of the Notepad program window. One interesting feature about Notepad is its ability to word wrap to the width of the window. User can indicate whether they want word wrapping turned on or off from the Format menu. Only newer versions of Windows include an updated version of Notepad with a search and replace function. However, it has much less functionality in comparison to full-scale editors. How to create a text file using Notepad. Once Notepad has been opened, type the text file and then save the file with any name, making sure that the file name ends with .txt. Notepad will not allow user to add pictures since it is a plain text editor and does not support pictures. Paint. In this video, let us see the application of Paint. A Paint program is a software graphics program that allows the user to draw or paint bitmapped images on a computer. User can use Paint to create drawings on a blank drawing area or in existing pictures. Many of the tools used in Paint are found in the ribbon which is near the top of the Paint window. Open Paint by clicking the Start button, point to All Programs, point to Accessories, point to Paint. In Paint, user can do the following: drawing lines, drawing different shapes, adding text, selecting and editing objects, working with color, viewing the picture, saving and using the picture. Drawing lines. User can use several different tools to draw a line in Paint. The tool which the user uses and the options which they select determines how the line appears in the drawing. There are two tools used in drawing lines. They are pencil tool and brushes. Drawing different shapes. Paint allows user to add different shapes in a picture. The ready-made shapes range from traditional shapes. Adding text. In Paint, user can also add their own text or message in the picture using Text tool. Selecting and editing objects. If user want to make a change to part of a picture or an object, user need to select the part of a picture that they want to change and then make the edit. Some changes user can make includes the following: Select tool, resizing an object, moving or copying an object, rotating an object, cropping the picture to show only the selected item, erase part of a picture, working with color. There are a number of tools to work specifically with color in Paint. They let the users to use the colors they want when they are drawing and editing in Paint. Viewing the picture. Pictures can be viewed in different ways using the View tab. User can use the following views: magnifier, rollers, grid lines, full screen. Saving and using the picture. When editing in Paint, you should save your work frequently. After users save the picture, user can use it on their computer or share it with others in email. Save a picture for the first time. Click the Paint button and then click Save. In the Save As type box, select the file format to save. In the file name box, type a name and then click Save. Open an existing picture. Click the Paint button and then click Open. Find the picture that you want to open in Paint, click it, and then click Open. Set your picture as your desktop background. Click the Paint button, point to Set as Desktop Background, and then click one of the desktop background settings. WordPad. An animation of WordPad is shown in this video. User can create a formatted document without having to use a full-blown word processor like Word. To open a WordPad window, click on the Start button, points to All Programs, points to Accessories, points to WordPad. The WordPad window opens with a blank document. WordPad allows simple formatting such as change fonts, character level formatting, margins can be changed or created, insert bulleted chart or graphic and sound files, printing and page setup in WordPad. User can use the same technique to print a document from WordPad that they used to print a document from Notepad. Headers and footers are not supported. Introduction to Command Prompt. Now, let us see the introduction to Command Prompt. Command Prompt is a command line interpreter application available in most Windows operating systems. The Command Prompt program allows the user to work in an environment that looks more like a traditional operating system as opposed to the icon-based Windows environment. Command Prompt is officially called Windows Command Processor but is also sometimes called the command shell or by its file name cmd.exe. In Command Prompt, only keyboard can be used and mouse cannot be used. Command Prompt works at a lower level than Windows. This means that user will have more control over the machine. The disadvantage of Command Prompt is that it is not user-friendly. Opening a Command Prompt. There are two conventional ways to start a Command Prompt. Method 1. Start, points to Programs, point to Accessories, point to Command Prompt. Method 2. Start, point to Run, and type CMD and press Enter. The command prompt shows up as a black terminal window. The command prompt should look something like :/directory navigation. Navigating the command prompt as well as changing drives and directories is an important skill to have. To do this, you must learn a few commands that you must enter into the command prompt. Some of the key commands are cd, change directory. The cd command is very simple to use. All commands are relative to the directory that you are in. Therefore, using the example output of a dir that is shown above. If you want to change to the Windows directory, you would type cd Windows. If you want to change to the system directory, which is a subdirectory of Windows, you would enter cd system. However, if you knew that you wanted to change to the system directory immediately, you could type this command: cd Windows/system. However, if you were already deep in another directory, for example, :/documents and settings/username local settings and then wanted to move directly to Windows/system, then you can do that by putting in an initial backward slash. cd/Windows/system. This tells the command to go to the root of the drive, then to the directory Windows and System. cd space slash or cd slash to just return to the root of the drive, that is c:/. cd dot dot to just go back one level, that is to use the earlier example, you were in c:/Windows/system and you wanted to be in c:/Windows. cd program files or cd program files to access a totally different directory. For example, program files. When typing directories to change to, if the directory name is unique, then you can use wildcards. For example, cd space program. dir. This command will list all of the folders and files in the directory you are currently at. cd space folder. This command will move you to the folder that you specify. The folder must be in the directory that you are currently in. For example, if you are currently at c:/users/username/ and you entered cd space desktop, you will be taken to c:/users/username/desktop. cd space path. This command will take you to a specific path on your computer. You do not need to be in the same directory as the path. You must enter the entire path for it to work. For example, cd space c:/Windows/system32. Drive letter. This command will take you to the drive letter that you specify. The drive you specify will need to be active or have a disk in it if it is a CD or DVD drive. For example, if you want to switch to your D drive, you would enter the command d:. Exit. This command will exit the command prompt no matter your current location. Path setting. Users can run an executable from Windows command prompt either by giving the absolute path of the file or just by giving the executable file name. In the latter case, Windows searches for the executable in a list of folders which is configured in environment variables. These environment variables are as below. System path, user path. The values of these variables can be checked in System Properties, that is run sysdm.cpl from Run or Computer Properties. Initially, user-specific path environment variable will be empty. Users can add paths of the directories having executables to this variable. Administrators can modify the system path environment variable. To set path from command line, in Vista, Windows 7 and Windows 8, we can set path from command line using setx command. Setx path %path :c:/directory path. Creating and using batch file. A script or text file which contains a series of commands to be executed by the command interpreter is called as batch files. Batch files are created to automate frequently performed tasks. Batch files are simply text files which is created using Windows Notepad application. Batch file is created by typing the command to run in a text file and saving with a .bat extension. Introduction to Files. In this animation, we are going to learn about Introduction to Files. Files are logical containers of data that are always present at the leaf level of a directory tree, that is, they are the last element of any tree. A file cannot be a collection of other files or directories and can only contain data or instructions. Each file has a set of properties associated with it, such as file name, size, data created, data accessed, date modified, path. File name. Each file is recognized by its file name. File name has two parts, name and extension. File naming conventions must be followed while naming a file. Extension identifies the type of the file or the application to which a particular file belongs. Size. Size determines how much space the file is occupying on the disk. Data created. Data created corresponds to the date when the file was created. Data accessed. Data accessed corresponds to the date when the file was last accessed. Date modified. Date modified corresponds to the date when the file was last modified. Path. Path specifies the location of file on the disk. It comprises of a series of predecessor, that is, parent directories, and moves up to the root. A file has a certain defined structure which depends on its type. Text file, source file, object file, executable file, text file. Sequence of characters organized into lines. Source file. Sequence of subroutines and functions, each of which is further organized as declarations followed by executable statements. Object file. Sequence of bytes organized into blocks understandable by the system's linker. Executable file. Series of code sections that the loader can bring into memory and execute. Directories and its structure. Now, let us see the application of directories and its structure. Directories are a collection of files or other directories. Directory at the highest level is called the root directory. There can be only one root in a directory structure. Directories at lower levels are called child, and those who share the same parents are called siblings. A directory structure can be viewed as a way to organize files on the hard disk. Operations on a directory. The directory can be viewed as a symbol table that translates file names into their directory entries. The operations that can be performed in the directory are: search for a file, find the entry for a particular file, create a file, create a new file and add to directory, delete a file, remove a file when no longer needed, list a directory. List the files in a directory and the contents of the directory entry for each file in the list. Rename a file. Change name of a file as per user's request. Directory structure. The directory structure is the organization of files into a hierarchy of folders. Types of directory structure. Single level directory. A single level directory with file entries for all users contained in the same directory. It is the simplest structure of all directories. Name collision problem. Files must have unique names since multiple users share same directory. Even in case of a single user, It is difficult to remember all file names and create files with unique names, the naming problem. Two-level directory. The standard solution to limitations of single-level directory is to create a separate directory for each user. System maintains a master file directory MFD. A separate directory for each user. User name and a file name constitute a path name. Solves the name collision problem. Sharing of files by different users is difficult. Tree-structured directory. The two-level directory structure can be extended to a tree of arbitrary height. A tree has a root directory. The root contains a set of directories. A directory contains a set of files and other subdirectories. Each subdirectory can further contain a set of files and other subdirectories. Each file has a unique path name. Path name. A path name is the path from the root through all the subdirectories to a specified file. Types of path names can be of two types: absolute path name, relative path name. Absolute path name. An absolute path name begins at the root and follows a path down to the specified file, giving the directory names on the path. Relative path name. A relative path name defines a path from the current directory. With reference to figure, if the current directory is root/spell/mail, to reference the file list. Acyclic graph directories. When the same files need to be accessed in more than one place in a directory structure, for example, because they are being shared by more than one user or process, it can be useful to provide an acyclic graph structure. Unix provides two types of links for implementing the acyclic graph structure. A hard link, usually just called a link, involves multiple directory entries that both refer to the same file. Hard links are only valid for ordinary files in the same file system. A symbolic link that involves a special file containing information about where to find the linked file. Symbolic links may be used to link directories and/or files in other file systems as well as ordinary files in the current file system. General graph directories allow user to create subdirectories in a two-level directory. Result is a tree-structured directory. Simply adding two files and subdirectories to an existing tree-structured directory preserves the tree-structured nature. When user add links to a tree, the tree structure is destroyed, resulting in a simple graph. Cycles allowed. Cycles might result in an infinite loop while searching. Introduction to drives. In this video, we are going to see about introduction to drives. Drives are logical partitions of the hard disk or may be extension to the hard disk. A convention is followed while giving names to these partitions. For example, A:(B:) represents floppy disk, C:(D:) E:) represents hard disk, and F:(G:) represent the compact disk. To switch from one drive to another, only the drive letter followed by a colon needs to be specified. For example, at C drive, type E drive and press enter. This will take you to E drive. While doing any directory or file manipulation, user must take note of your location. Location of a file or directory always starts with the drive letter, which is the root, followed by the name of its parent in one order, and finally its own name. For example, C:/program file/Microsoft Office/Office/MS Word. implies that the root is C:. One of the folders in C:1 is Program Files. Program Files contains Microsoft Office folder, which in turn contains Office folder, which in turn contains MS Word. Installing and uninstalling an application. In this animation, we are going to learn about installing and uninstalling an application. Application management. All applications tend to share a common set of functionality that applies to application implementation and management. Installing an application. To install a software program can depend on the operating system being used and the program being installed. Steps for installing an application. To install a program from a CD or DVD, insert the disk into your computer and follow the instructions on your screen. If users are prompted for an administrator password or confirmation, type the password or provide confirmation. Many programs installed from CDs or DVDs launch an installation wizard for the program automatically. In these cases, the autoplay dialog box will appear and user can choose to run the wizard. If a program does not begin to install, check the information that came with the program. If user cannot access the information, they can also browse through the disk and open the program setup file, usually called setup.exe or install.exe. To install a program from the internet, in user web browser, click the link to the program. Do one of the following. To install the program immediately, click Run and follow the instructions on user's screen. If they are prompted for an administrator password or confirmation, type the password or provide confirmation. To install the program later, click Save and download the installation file to your computer. When users are ready to install a program, double-click the file and follow the instructions on your screen. This is a safer option because user can scan the installation file for viruses before you proceed. Uninstalling an application. To see a list of programs that we can uninstall, we must first open the Programs and Features control panel. To do this, user should follow these steps. In Windows, click on the Start button to open your Start menu. When the Start menu opens, click on the Control Panel menu option. When the Control Panel window opens, click on the Uninstall a Program option under the Programs category. Now, those users know what all the options in the screen do. Let's start learning how to uninstall a program. The first step is look through the list of programs for the one that user would like to uninstall and then left-click on it once so that it becomes highlighted. Once user highlight a program, they will see two new options next to the Organize and View button called Uninstall and Change. If user press the S button, it will start the uninstall routine for the program and begin to remove it. Managing the running applications. Let us see the animation of managing the running applications. Running applications. The running applications can be managed using the Task Manager. Using Taskbar, the following process can be done on the running applications. The Task Manager can be opened in following two ways. Press Ctrl plus Alt plus Delete. Click Start Task Manager. Ending a running application. The running application can be closed using the Task Manager. It is done when the application hangs too long. The status column shows not responding when the application is crashed or hanged. By that time, the user can use Task Manager to close the application by doing the following steps. Open the Task Manager. Click the Applications tab. In the task area, locate an application that is needed to be closed and click on it. Finally, click the End Task button. Starting an application. The New Task button comes in handy in situations which helps user to reopen an application. If the user knows the path to the application, he can enter it. Otherwise, the user can click the Browse button to navigate to the application name. To open an application, follow the steps given below. Open the Task Manager, click the Application tab. Click the New Task button. Create a new task dialog box opens. In that, enter the application name to be opened, or else use Browse option to select an application to open. Finally, click the OK button. Monitor an application's CPU and memory usage. The Task Manager can be used to know about the CPU and memory usage of a running application. It is done as follows. Open the Task Manager, click the Processes tab. Now, it displays the list of running applications along with their CPU and memory usage details. End a process. If the user thinks that a process is consuming more memory and its CPU utilization is more, then he can end the process as shown below. Steps to end a process. Open the Task Manager, click the Processes tab. Select the process from the list which is to be ended. Click the End Process button. It asks for confirmation. Stopping and restarting a service. The following steps shows as how to stop and restart a service through Task Manager. This is done as follows. Open the Task Manager, click the Services tab. Right-click on the service from the listed services which is needed to be stopped. Then, click Stop Service option. Depending on the security configuration, it might show an access denied message. If this is the case, click the service again and click on the Services button in the lower right corner. Then, again right-click the service to be stopped and click Stop Service option. To restart the service, follow these same steps. The only difference is that choosing Start Service instead of choosing Stop Services. An overview of Linux. We are going to learn about an overview of Linux. Linux is an operating system. It was developed beginning in 1991 by the University of Helsinki student named Linus Torvalds. Linux stands for Linus Unix. Linux itself is actually just a kernel. It implements multitasking and multi-user functionality, manages hardware, allocates memory, and enables application to run. Linux delivers the power and flexibility of a Unix server or desktop. It also provides a set of utilities, internet applications, and a fully functional desktop interface. The Linux operating system has become a server platform for powerful internet and many other applications. Linux is capable of running from a web, file transfer protocol that is FTP, file and printer servers, to Wide Area Information Server (WAIS). The structure of Linux is organized on file systems that provide interfaces and abstraction needed to work with data and files. Files are organized into directories with disk hardware. Each directory can contain any number of subdirectories, each holding files. System and software features. In this video, let us see the application of system and software features. Linux supports most of the features found in other implementations of Unix, plus quite a few that are not found elsewhere. Linux is a complete multitasking multi-user operating system. This means that many users can be logged into the same machine at once, running multiple programs simultaneously. The Linux system is mostly compatible with a number of Unix standards in as much as Unix has standards on the source level. It was developed with source portability in mind, therefore, users are most likely to find commonly used features in the Linux system which are shared across multiple implementations. In addition, all source code for the Linux system is freely distributable, including kernel, device drivers, libraries. Linux supports various file system types of storing data. Various file systems such as the ext2fs file system have been developed specifically for Linux. Other file system types such as Minix1 and Xenix file systems are also supported. The MS-DOS file system has been implemented as well, allowing the user to access MS-DOS files on hard drive or floppy directly. Device drivers. Linux provides a complete implementation of TCP/IP networking. This includes device drivers for many popular Ethernet cards, SLIP Serial Line Internet Protocol, PLIP Parallel Line Internet Protocol, PPP Point-to-Point, NFS Network File System, and so on. The complete range of TCP/IP clients and services is supported, such as FTP, Telnet, NNTP, and SMTP. Libraries. Executable use dynamically linked shared libraries, meaning that executable share common library code in a single library file found on disk. This allows executable files to occupy much less space, especially those that use many library functions. There are also statistically linked libraries to be in place. Linux shared libraries are dynamically linked at runtime, allowing the programmer to replace modules of the libraries with their own routines. Software features. The fact that most of this software is freely distributable is even more impressive. Many of the software applications available for Linux, basic commands and utilities, programming language and utilities, the X Windows system, networking, telecommunication and BBS software, interfacing with MS-DOS, basic command and utilities. Virtually every utility that user would expect to find on standard implementations. Many text editors are available, including VI, EX, PIOC, JOVE, as well as GNU Emacs and variants such as Lucid Emacs and Joe. The most important utility to many users is the shell. Programming languages and utilities. Linux provides a complete Unix programming environment, including all of the standard libraries, programming tools, compilers, and debuggers that user would expect to find on other Unix systems. Within the Unix software development world, applications and systems programming is usually done in C or C++. The standard C and C++ compiler for Linux is GNU's GCC, which is an advanced modern compiler supporting many options. The X Window System. The X Window System is the standard graphics interface for Unix machines. Using X Windows, the user can have multiple terminal windows on the screen at once, each one containing a different login session. Many X-specific applications have been written, such as games, graphic utilities, and programming, and documentation tools, and so on. Networking. Linux supports the two primary networking protocols for Unix system: TCP/IP, UUCP. TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol, is the set of networking paradigms that allow systems all over the world to communicate on a single network known as the Internet. With Linux, TCP/IP and a connection to the network, user can communicate with other users and a machine across the Internet via electronic mail, Usenet news, file transfers with FTP, and more. UUCP. UUCP is an older mechanism used to transfer files, electronic mail, and electronic news between machines. Classically, UUCP machines connected to each other over the phone lines via modem, but UUCP is able to transport over a TCP/IP network as well. Telecommunication and BBS software. Many people use telecommunication software to access bulletin board systems, that is BBS, as well as commercial online services. If users have modem, they will be able to communicate with other machines using one of the telecommunication packages available for Linux. Telecommunications software under Linux is very similar to that found under MS-DOS or other operating system. Interfacing with MS-DOS. Various utilities exist to interface with the world of MS-DOS. The most well-known application is the Linux MS-DOS emulator, which allows user to run many MS-DOS applications directly from Linux. Other applications. Several relational databases are available for Linux, including Postgres, Ingres, and Embase. Scientific computing applications include FLET, a finite element analysis tool, GNU-Plot, a plotting and data analysis application, Octave, a symbolic mathematics package, XSpread, a spreadsheet calculator. File structure. An example of file structure is shown in this video. In the Linux file structure, files are grouped according to purpose. All directories are grouped under the root entry / Directories, description / root directory that forms the base of the file system. All files and directories are logically contained inside the root directory, regardless of their physical locations. /bin contains the executable programs that are part of the Linux operating system. /boot contains the Linux kernel and other files needed by LILO and GRUB boot managers. /dev contains all device files. Linux treats each device as a special file. All such files are located in /dev. /etc contains most system configuration files and the initialization scripts in /etc/rc.d subdirectory. /home. Home directory is the parent to the home directories for users. /lib contains library files including loadable driver modules needed to boot the system. /lost plus found directory for lost files. Every disk partition has a lost plus found directory. /mnt a directory for temporarily mounted file systems, that is backup software. /proc a special directory in a virtual memory file system. It contains the information about various aspects of a Linux system. /root home directory of the root user. /sbin contains administrative binary files. Commands such as mount, shutdown, unmount reside here. /tmp temporary directory which can be used as a scratch directory, storage for temporary files. /usr contains subdirectories for many programs such as the X or GUI Windows system. /usr/bin contains executable files for many Linux commands. It is not part of the core Linux operating system. /usr/lib contains libraries for C programming languages. /usr/sbin contains administrative commands. /var contains various system files such as log, mail directories, print spool, etc., which tend to change in numbers and size over time. Hardware and software requirements. In this video, we are going to see about hardware and software requirements. Hardware requirements. Linux has very minimal requirements compared to other operating systems. CPUs: Intel Pentium, Pentium Pro, Pentium 2, Pentium 2 Xenon, Pentium 3, Pentium 3 Xenon, Pentium 4, Pentium 4 Xenon, Celeron AMD K6, K6-2, K6-3. Athlon, Duron, Athlon XP, Athlon MP, Cyrix M2 VIA, Cyrix M3, C3. Video cards: 3DFX Banshee, Voodoo 3, Voodoo 5, ATI Radeon Mobility M6, M7, Radeon 7000, 7500, 8500, 9000, 9700, that is 2D only. Rage 128, Rage 128 Mobility M3, M4, Rage 128 Pro, Rage 128 Pro Ultra, most Max 64 complaint cards, Intel 1740, i810, i815, i830, i845G, i845GL Matrox Millennium, Millennium 2, etc. SCSI controllers: Adaptec 200X, 21XX, 22X, 27X, 28XX, 29XX, 32XX, 34XX, 39XX, 54XX. Advanced Sys 940 Ultra or Wide. AMI Mega Ride Express 200 466 series, Dell PowerEdge Ride series, IBM BusLogic or MyLex Flashpoint, Multimaster, DAC960. IDE controllers, ATA133, ATA33 MOS controllers, ATA66 not RAID, High Point 366 or 368, Intel 82801AB, ICHO 440BX, Promise PDC 20262, PDC 2027X, PDC 20265 or 7 via 82C596B or 686A. Network cards 3COM 3C905 or B or C, D-Link DFE 530 or plus, R-Realtek RTL 8029, RTL 8139, RTL 8139C+, RTL 8169, Intel N Ether Express Pro 100 or 1000, Netgear FA 311TX, Linksys LNE 100TX, Silicon Integrated Systems SIS 900, Intel DE 4x5 or Tulip series, GIGE Broadcom Tigon 3, Intel E1000 NatSemi NS83820, Realtek RTL 8169 via RAIN. Modems 100% HiAce compatible internal and external serial modems with hardware UART. Note: Win modems, host-based, HCF-, HSP-, HSF-, controllerless, host-controlled, and soft modems are not supported. Sound cards: C Media CM8338 or CM8738, Creative Labs Sound Blaster 128 PCI, Sound Blaster Live Exclamatory, Sound Blaster Live Exclamatory Audigy, Crystal CS428X or CS46XX, ESS Maestro, Maestro 2, Maestro 3, Solo, Ensoniq Audio PCI, ES1370, ES1371, Intel ICH, ICH2, ICH3, ICH4, Yamaha YM F724, 74X, 754, via 82C 686, via 8233, via 8235. Software requirements. These requirements are common to all platforms. A working network card and internet connection is recommended during installation. Operating system requirements. Linux 32-bit operating systems, Debian 5.0, 6.0 and 7.0 OpenSUSE 11.3, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5 and 6, Ubuntu 10.04 and 12.04 LTS. 64-bit operating systems, Debian 5.0, 6.0 and 7.0 OpenSUSE 11.3, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5 and 6, Ubuntu 10.04 and 12.04 LTS. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5 is only supported for server, batch, and cluster operation. OS-specific system requirements. 32-bit Linux, GNU-C library version 2.3.4 or later Linux kernel 2.6.18 or later Intel Pentium 4 or AMD Athlon XP processor or later. 64-bit Linux, GNU-C library version 2.3.4 or later Linux kernel 2.6.18 or later Intel Pentium 4 or AMD Athlon XP processor or later. Graphics system requirements. COMSOL Multiphysics is the finite element analysis, solver, and simulation software. COMSOL recommends hardware rendering for performance reasons. Hardware rendering requires drivers that support OpenGL version 1.4. Card model, operating system, driver version. Linux. FirePro V4800, UBU NTU 10.04 LTS, 8.723.1, 1004 8A, 09850C, ATI, Quadro FX 1800, Debian 6.0, 195.36.31. Parallel system requirements. Linux. Shared memory parallelism, 32-bit and 64-bit Linux distributions, distributed memory parallelism, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5 and 6, Debian 6 and UBU NTU 12.04. Preliminary steps before installation and disk space requirement. Now, let us see the application of preliminary steps before installation and disk space requirement. Preliminary steps before installation. After users have obtained a distribution of Linux, they are ready to prepare the system for installation. Installation overview. While each release of Linux is different, in general the method used to install the software is as follows. Repartition uses hard drive. Create Linux partitions. Boot the Linux installation media. Create file systems and swap space. Install the software on the new file systems. Repartition uses hard drive. If user have other operating systems already installed, they will need to repartition the drives in order to allocate space for Linux. Create Linux partitions. After repartitioning to allocate space for Linux, user create Linux partitions on that empty space. This is accomplished with the Linux fdisk program. Boot the Linux installation media. Booting this media will either present the user with some kind of installation program, which will step user through the Linux installation or allow them to install the software by hand. Create file systems and swap space. At this point, user will create one or more file systems used to store files on the newly created partitions. In addition, if user plan to use swap space, they will create the swap space on one of their Linux partitions. Install the software on the new file systems. Finally, user will install the Linux software on their newly created file systems. Installation disk space requirement. These recommendations are based on an installation that only installs one language, such as English. If user plan to install multiple languages to use on their system, they should increase the disk space requirements. Personal desktop. A personal desktop installation, including a graphical desktop environment, requires at least 1.7 GB of free space. Choosing both the GNOME and KDE desktop environments requires at least 1.8 GB of free disk space. Workstation. A workstation installation including a graphical desktop environment and software development tools requires at least 2.1 GB of free space. Choosing both GNOME and KDE desktop environments requires at least 2.2 GB of free disk space. Server. A server installation requires 850 MB for a minimal installation without X, the graphical environment, at least 1.5 GB of free space if all package groups other than X are installed, and at least 5.0 GB to install all packages including the GNOME and KDE desktop environments. Custom. A custom installation requires 475 MB for a minimal installation and at least 5 GB of free space if every package is selected. Boot methods. Now we are going to see about what are boot methods. There are several methods that can be used to install Red Hat Linux. Boot CD-ROM, boot diskette, driver diskette. Installing from a CD-ROM requires that user have purchased a Red Hat Linux product or user have a Red Hat Linux CD-ROM and they have a CD-ROM drive. Most new computers will allow booting from the CD-ROM. It is an easy way to begin a local CD-ROM installation. User BIOS may need to be changed to allow booting from your CD-ROM drive. Boot CD-ROM. If user can boot using the CD-ROM drive, they can create their own CD-ROM to boot the installation program. This may be useful, for example, if users are performing an installation over a network or from a hard drive. If user cannot boot from the CD-ROM drive, the following alternative boot method is available. Boot diskette. If user need a boot diskette, they must create it. It can be used to boot from a network, block, or PCMCIA device. That is, user will also need the corresponding driver diskette for their booting scenario. The boot diskette image file, bootdisk.img, is located in the images directory on their Red Hat Linux CD-ROM. Driver diskette. If users are performing anything other than an IDE CD-ROM or hard disk installation and are using a boot diskette, they will need at least one driver diskette that user must make in advance. User will be prompted by the installation program to insert the driver diskette at the correct time. Red Hat Linux installation. In this video, we are going to see about Red Hat Linux installation. Red Hat Enterprise Linux is one of the best and stable Linux operating systems. Red Hat Linux installation steps. Step 1. Select install or upgrade existing system options. Step 2. Select language. Step 3. Select keyboard type. Step 4. Choose Skip Media Test. Click OK if user want to check media. Step 5. Select storage device. Step 6. Type computer name or host name. Step 7. Select time zone location. Step 8. Enter password for root user. Step 9. Select type of installation and review the partitioning layout carefully. Also may choose encrypt system. Step 10. Review partitioning layout. Modify if needed. Users have chosen default setup with ext4 and LVM. Step 11. Manual configuration of LVM and write storage. Step 12. Creating partition and formatting file systems. Step 13. Configuring bootloader options also can give bootloader password for security reason. Step 14. Select applications to install and select Customize Now. Step 15. Customize package selections. Step 16. Installation progress. Step 17. Installation is completed successfully. Step 18. User reboots their computer and login with root credentials. Step 19. Login screen.